Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at 3 games played between T, that's Tox, eekso, AtomiK, and Team Queso's Joy, Vatira, and Rise. And we're on board for this first game with T's AtomiK. Now I'm not going to tell you who won games 1 and 2 because that would spoil the results of games 3 and 4 here that I'm going to show you. But I will say that both of those games were won in overtime. So very close games up until this point between 2 teams that I've got my eye on for this weekend's EU Winter Regional number 1 of the new RLCS season. And I think you guys should as well, because although these teams are currently sitting at 9th place for Team Queso and 12th place for T in the overall standings when it comes to points for the RLCS season, I think that they both have a great shot of making a push for top 5. And so do many other teams in Europe. If you're only looking at the teams that made LAN, then you're making a mistake for EU, because EG, Carmine Corp, Misfits all missed out on LAN by a very small margin. Going into the final day or the final event, they still very much could have qualified based on their own performance. We're not able to do so, but they're still very close to that top 5. And then you've also got teams like 00 Nation in there as well. There are just so many teams in Europe that have got a legitimate chance of breaking into that top 5, and I think this is probably the team with the biggest chance to surprise a lot of people in this upcoming event, and that's T. A lot of people are going to be underestimating this roster because they didn't have the greatest, none of these players at all had the greatest time in the fall split. Now eekso and Tox have been playing together since the end of RLCS Season X. They were playing with Yukio for Aether, then they were picked up by SK Gaming in RLCS Season X right at the end, and that's the team that finished 12th place in the fall split for Europe. But now Yukio is off the roster, and they've picked up AtomiK, who of course had a great RLCS Season X with Team Queso before that whole team joined the Vodafone Giants organization, and had a pretty horrendous split to start off the RLCS 2021-22 season. Now, AtomiK and Tox are not brand new to playing together in competition. Recent competition though. There's, very nice shot there. A couple of good goals already going in at either end. But those of you who remember SMAD will remember that Tox and AtomiK were 2/3 of the roster who ended up winning the entire thing. They went completely dead even in the group stage, win-loss, and then completely stormed their way through the lower bracket with Catalysm as their 3rd to win the entire tournament against some pretty stacked opposition. So I've seen these guys have success playing together before, albeit in a pickup tournament. I do think that gives me even more hope for this roster working out. AtomiK is a player, I think, one of the players who's right now I think overlooked in the there's a lot of discussion going on about best players of 2021 and looking back at the year as a whole. AtomiK is very often forgotten about because the rapid and sharp fall off from Team Queso was so severe. I said that lovely team bumps there from AtomiK onto Tox. This guy really has to be talked about more. He was, for me, the most effective player on Team Queso, a team that finished 4th place in Europe in RLCS Season X. Could have even been 3rd maybe. I think they were probably better than Top Blokes when the championships rolled around. They just ended up on opposite side of the bracket. But yeah, now that AtomiK has got a chance to play with a more standard team, a team that's playing much more meta Rocket League compared to Team Queso, who were just a Champ 2 ranked team with incredible mechanics. And I mean that in the best possible ways. They just played the game in a completely unique way. They were very, very difficult to read and very, very difficult to play against, but at the same time, it looked quite hard for those players to play with each other, Demensa, AtomiK, and VK Salen. Now AtomiK has got a chance to play with eekso and Tox, and Tox is one of the most meta players in the game. He's very, very standard, very calculated, very defensive player. eekso, of course, those of you who follow my channel for a long time will not need any explanation of who that is, but it is awesome to see his continued success in the 3v3 scene after all the years of waiting for that to finally happen, while watching him be one of the best 1v1 players in the world. Yeah, these teams are definitely teams you need to keep your eye on, and T especially, because you often get that honeymoon period, that fresh start with a new team. We're seeing that a lot in North America right now with so many roster changes coming through. Really well done there by Rise to get almost the equalizer goal, but looks like Queso are still trying to push for it late in the game. Such an exciting team to watch, Team Queso, and we had the joy of watching them scrim against many LAN teams that were in Sweden and in Europe preparing for the fall major. Queso were spotted on the streams taking wins against RLCS LAN teams in scrims. You know, it is just scrims, it's just practice, but still, these guys are extremely impressive, and we've seen them be able to produce that kind of form in tournaments, although it's yet to be consistent. That's the key for them. We're heading towards the third overtime in a row here. There it is. T will be quite a comfortable team in defense. I know that Tox loves to play for those big interceptions on infield passes. He loves to try and play that counter-attacking style, and with eekso and AtomiK on the roster, it's only going to suit them even more, I think. Well, eekso of course has been on the roster with Tox for a while, but with AtomiK on the roster, I think that style is going to be more suitable for them, because AtomiK as well, incredible goalkeeper, very good at reading what his opponents are up to. Tox already coming to the backboard there. That was a bit of an early move, but he has perfectly read where Vatira is headed. Vatira, the young Frenchman, always a threat mechanically, as Team Queso's entire roster are. Great commit there. Tox's last man dives in and gets the winning goal. So it is going to be game 3 for T. And like I said before, I'm not going to tell you what the series score is right now, because that would spoil the result of game number 4. But you'll be able to guess. Well, you'll know for sure after we watch game 4 what the score was going into it. Without any more delay, let's get into it. All right, let's take a look at a game from Tox POV, the perspective of the player who just got the winning goal to get that game 3 on the board for T. I'm so curious to see just how this team plays. Tox most likely going to be the third man for this team for the most part, but that's not to say he's not going to be aggressive when the time comes, as we saw in that last game. And, you know, a lot of people will ask what exactly is a third man in Rocket League, with how aggressive the game is being played now, with how fast the game is being played. It's quite hard to spot a consistent third man for any team, as Rocket League teams move more and more towards just having 3 extremely mechanical players rotating in and out depending on who has boosts and who's ready to make a play. But for me, the way I describe third man, second man, first man to a new Rocket League viewer, or anyone who's asking really, is third man is the priority defender. So if there are 2 players equidistant to the play and both of them are capable of making a play, both of them have got boost, both of them have got a good idea of what they want to be doing, the third man on a team is a player who will just default without even needing to communicate it into the defensive position, so that double commits don't happen. And the first man will be the default player who goes. So if there are 2 players who can go to the ball, if you're sitting back here as Tox and you see that eekso can go, you're going to assume that he will, just because Rocket League is such a fast-paced game. You don't have time to communicate every single move that you make. You don't have time to communicate everything that you do. Sometimes you just have to make a decision immediately and just know that your teammates will be able to read what it is that you're doing. It's one of the things that makes BDS so dangerous. Monkeyman and Extra, they know that if Mark can turn for a ball, he will. If Mark can make a play with regards to disruption, interceptions, or a little knock-on touch in the midfield, he will go for it, and that helps them not commit over his head and not try and read him leaving a ball. Whereas if it's Extra or Monkeyman, then they're I guess more likely than Mark to let the ball go past him. Oh, great mind game there by AtomiK. 1-0 T in game 4. Yeah, your second man is the filler. So I guess if you look forward as the second man in a team and you see your first man, he's gonna definitely turn on anything he can. And you look ahead of you and you see your third man, then he's probably not going to turn. He's not going to cut rotation. He's not going to go for the ball just because he can. He's going to be the player who will leave it more often. So that's just a way of thinking about it. It can definitely work in ranked. If you're playing with your buddies, you can definitely pull this off. That's a great shot by Vatira. Seeing the goal in the backboard coverage, so goes for a closer to the ground play instead, making it very awkward for the defense to get the save. But oh dear, is that going to be in? It's just going to get saved by Rise as the kickoff once again gets a pro team in trouble. Yeah, what do you guys think about the first, second, third man? A lot of people think that this is something that will become less and less common as Rocket League advances. Like I said, you know, many teams now are just trying to get 3 very mechanical players into their team, and I think it's the right move to make, given just how fast the game of Rocket League is played these days. But at the same time, when the game is played faster, you have less time to communicate what you're doing. You've got to not just get the words out of your well, not just make the decision, the correct one, but then get the words out of your mouth. So yeah, communication will need to keep on becoming more and more efficient as Pro Rocket League evolves, and I'm expecting, you know, those predetermined roles, those predetermined, maybe not roles, but predetermined expectations of what your teammates do in various positions to continue to exist. And that's definitely what helps build synergy between players. Speaking of, that's a great passing play. eekso with a huge flick up to AtomiK, who scores his second goal of the game. And you'll see that whereas AtomiK in the previous game was a lot more active and a lot more aggressive with his positioning when he has backup, Tox very happy to just wait, very happy to be that guy who, you know, he'll make a play on the ball if he's furthest man in, but if he's not, he's quite happy to let his teammate challenge ahead of him and follow up on that challenge. His ability to read what is happening in front of him is just brilliant. That's what you want from a defensive player in Rocket League. You want somebody who can read 50-50s, you want somebody who can read challenges, you want somebody who can read what's about to go down, not just with his teammates but with his opponents, with random plays that for others might be very, very difficult to predict. Big dunk for eekso, puts him back in a tie game. Incredibly fast-paced lobby here as Tox rather thinking about going for a shot, but of course after seeing the block coming towards him decides that would be too much of a risk. Just escapes the wrath of Batira. So now eekso comfortably beaten to the ball with joy. I don't think eekso was expecting that to be such a high ball. Oh, what a pre-jump. eekso off the post, just narrowly missing. And that was, I believe, a pre-jump onto the pass from AtomiK. Tox continues to sit back and weigh his options. He's not diving in there. The reason the Tox doesn't dive in on the play is because his teammate who's recovering has got ball pressure. All Tox needs to do is stay ready, stay close enough to the play that he can pounce should an opportunity arise. Oh, and hold on, there's one! As Tox bounces it into the top corner. Not a conventional shot, but extremely effective. He spotted an opening. And now with hardly any time left in the game, T have taken the lead. Is this going to be game? Or will we have a 4th overtime in a row? No, we will not. And that confirms for all of you that the series score was in fact 2-0 in favor of eekso at the start of this. So in the games I'm not going to show you today, eekso did win them both in OT. But now we're 2-2 between T and eekso. Remember, winner of this advances directly into the group stage of the RLCS Winter Regional Event 1 for Europe that's coming up this weekend. Loser of this had to fight on through the qualification bracket and make it in at a later round. Let's find out who made it in directly. So let's finish this one off watching the only T player that we've not yet covered. It's eekso, a player that many of you will have fond memories of from his 1v1 career, and a player who is often used as an example for why 1v1 players cannot transition into 3v3. eekso was one of the most successful ones players who didn't find 3v3 success, but you know, many of you, and myself included, did not lose faith in him and did not lose faith in the ones mains. We all knew eventually that they would make their breakthrough, just need to find the right team, the right time, and of course eekso's got a good team for himself here. Not for the first time though. eekso actually had a pretty good start to RLCS Season X as well, was in the running for top 5 with Galaxy Racers, Arju and Matane before that roster continued on without him, with Bluey in his place. I think on paper this is probably the best roster that eekso's ever been a part of. Potentially the best roster that all 3 players have been a part of, although they've all had very successful runs in the past. Tox with Steak and Samway, and AtomiK with Demenza and VK Salen, of course. But this, I think, could be the best one if these guys can just keep their focus, keep grinding, and you know, you never know what's going on with teams behind the scenes, but if the mental is there, if the mental is good, and these guys are committed to improving together, then they've got all of the tools that they need to succeed. 3-0 as Eekso start to fall apart. They are, of course, being reverse swept right now. And like I said earlier on in the video, consistency is what Eekso lack as well. That's the one thing that has not yet been a consistent part of their RLCS season. They've got the mechanics, they've got the ability to look dangerous in any matchup, but they've also got the ability to look like they can lose any matchup if they're playing poorly. You know, if I had to pick a team in NA to sort of draw similarities with Eekso, it would probably be Oxygen, because Oxygen are that team who, on their day, they can be a problem for any team, but they can also randomly have an early exit. Although I think Oxygen is probably a more exaggerated extreme. Eekso would probably take the results Oxygen got in the most recent regional. I think they finished 5th/6th, pretty good finish for Oxygen, the new Oxygen edition with Gimmick on the roster. The 4-0 is really getting away from them now. Eekso takes a touch to fake a play infield. He's actually missed the open net rebound, although it was quite a tricky one. But the setup was brilliant. I love that from Eekso, faking that he's going to go for a solo play and then instead using the air roll to open up the passing angle. 4-1. Eekso coming back, and there's a long time left. Not over yet. T need to be careful here. They need to try and run down the clock a little bit, get the ball into open play, maybe air dribble as much as you can. That's something that we always saw from One's players when they are winning. Lovely little knock on there by Eekso. Using a lot of boost as he moves around the field here. That's my one criticism, especially in this last game. You know, using 12, 20 boost in little bursts where probably it would have been fine to just use none, save what he has. And can't always guarantee that you're going to path over hundreds when they're there. That being said, T continued to look incredibly comfortable as another whiff actually comes through. So just as I say that, the pressure was on them. And spoke just a moment too soon. Good early challenge there by Eekso, making it a lot easier on his goalkeeper behind him by going there. Perfect pick up on the boost in the back corner will buy them a ton of time. Eekso, you'll notice the recovery there. He's double jumping in the challenge so he can land on his wheels on the side wall. Well, kind of the back corner wall, I suppose. Just getting back into the play that little bit more quickly. It's a great touch and defense by AtomiK as well. He's actually gotten past all 3 Eekso players, but even if he didn't get past the last one there, he's got a 1 for 2. And he hasn't given the ball away while doing so. He's keeping it in an awkward position. Eekso finding another way to get out of defense as well. This is great work on the transition by T. They're just avoiding any big mistakes. And now Eekso sneaks in a 5th goal at the near post. Looks like this one might be just too much for Eekso to come back from. Now, with that being said, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys would want me to tell you that there could be a comeback here, but I will go ahead at this point and spoil it. I've, you know, gone quite far not to spoil this one. What is going on? What is what is happening? Everybody's hitting the post for T. But yeah, T do go on to advance, and they have made it in as one of the top seeds from the closed qualifier to the first winter event of this RLCS season for Europe. And their reward is to be placed into Team BDS's group. This, you know, one of the other reasons why I wanted to make this video is just how much of an exciting prospect this is. Team BDS coming off a fall major victory, but yet to win any regional events in this season, which is a big change from last season where they won more than they lost, I believe. But yeah, we've got BDS and T in the same group. We've also got 00 Nation, who are I think right now sitting at 9th equal in points, exactly the same as Team Eekso for Europe, and Team Singularity as well. So yeah, this game finishes off 6-1. Extremely comfortable in the end for T. But you saw they did have to hold on quite a lot of pressure before getting to the finish line here. And they did well with their defensive possession, just letting the clock run down, not taking any big risks, getting the reverse sweep on Team Queso. I'm really excited to see both these teams play this weekend, though. I think that they could both make runs. Queso's group has Dignitas and Misfits in it, which is going to be very tricky. Rick's GG as well. The return of Mike Boy and Speed, this time alongside another German player called Emre. Extremely stacked groups, and this is such a brutal format, this split, with first place getting a massive advantage. First place coming out of the groups getting a huge advantage compared to second and third, so it's very important to get that first place in a group, and it's teams like T who are trying to upset favorites BDS, and if they can do that, then suddenly they're in a brilliant position for the split, giving themselves an already top 6 finish just by winning the group, and also giving themselves a great seed going into the next one. Well, definitely an improved seed going into the next one, because they come into this one as seed, well, as a 12th in the rankings. I don't know what that actually translates to in seeding. Yeah, you guys are not going to want to miss this weekend. It's going to be starting on Friday, group stages, 4 groups. So many ridiculous groups in EU, so many groups of death. I mean, one group has Vitality, Endpoint, and Carmine Corp in it. That's just insane. Another group has Williams Resolve, a full French roster, Evil Geniuses, Semper, and Coxers Minis. I mean, there just are no easy groups here. Every single group is insane. And so the fact that some of these teams are going to go out 0 and 3, or bottom of the group 1 and 2, 0, 3, whichever it ends up being, is kind of mind blowing. But that's just what happens when you have a region like EU with so many players in the come up, so many teams that are consistently putting in the occasional deep run in tournaments. And Queso and T, these are teams you really need to have your eye on. Again, that's why the main reason I wanted to make this video for you guys today. But what other teams do you guys have your eye on for this weekend? If there's a favorite team of yours, if you're just a fan of one of the teams in particular, you're just hoping that they could do well, then let me know who they are. For me, yeah, you're looking at them. These are the 2 teams that are currently outside of that top 8 that I think have got the best chance of breaking in, and maybe even further, maybe even getting into that top 5. Because remember, the Winter Major is decided entirely based off Winter Regional. So even if you've had a horrendous fall split, you still have a great chance of making that Winter. Well, you have just as much of a chance as anyone else of making that Winter Major. But that's all we got time for today, guys. Thank you again for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. Or hopefully, if you're one of those people that tries to use my videos to fall asleep, hopefully you're already sleeping and you don't even hear me right now. And you've just let the video continue. Your phone's just watched the video for you, and generated a bunch of ad revenue. Much appreciated. But that's going to be it for today. Once again, take care and thanks for watching.